Good afternoon to our distinguished audience. Welcome to the 36th episode of the JAPost Up Close, the Jakarta Post webinar. My name is Stella Kusumawardani, the Economic Team Coordinator at Tenggara Strategics, and I will be your host for this event. Ladies and gentlemen, environmental corporate social responsibility has been emphasized worldwide in recent years. As the world economy recovers from the COVID-19 pandemic with the Build Back Better plan, environmental, social, and governance will receive more attention than ever before. So in this 36th episode of the JAPost Up Close, we will focus on Schneider Electric's secret to success under the theme Sustainability and ESG in Indonesia. Where do we start? Now, ladies and gentlemen, here with us today, we have two excellent speakers. The first one is Manish Pant, the East Asia and Japan Zone President at Schneider Electric, and Roberto Rossi, Cluster President at Schneider Electric Indonesia and Timor-Leste. Before we introduce our excellent speakers, I would like to first greet Manish. Good afternoon, Manish. How are things in Singapore?
Hi, good afternoon, Stella. Great to be here, and thanks to Jakarta Post for inviting us on this episode.
Thank you. Back to you, Manish. Thank you very much. It's amazing to hear your energetic voice and spirit.
Thank you.
That was Manish, everyone. Now let us greet our next speaker, Roberto. Roberto, how was your day? All great and exciting?
Hello to everyone. Happy to be here with you all. Very energetic session. Thank you for inviting us.
Thank you, Roberto. It's wonderful to hear that. Ladies and gentlemen, Roberto is the President Director for Schneider Electric's Indonesia and Timor-Leste cluster. He was appointed earlier this year, having previously served as Vice President for the South America Power Systems Division. An engineer by trade, Roberto has been with Schneider since 2009. So that was our two excellent speakers for today. And before we start our talk show, I'm going to announce a little housekeeping memo. So the format of this event is a talk show, and we will open the floor for questions in the last 15 minutes. To ask your question, post your questions in the Q&A box, along with the name of the speaker whom you'd like to address your question, if any, and we will address the questions to our speakers during the Q&A sessions. And ladies and gentlemen, because this is a bilingual event, feel free to post your questions either in English or Indonesian, and we will assist you in addressing the questions to our speaker. All right, that's all for our housekeeping memo. Now let's dive straight into Schneider Electric's secret to sustainability and ESG success. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to first inform us all that Schneider Electric has been pioneering sustainability for more than 15 years and received many worldwide recognitions. I'm going to mention some of the achievements that Schneider Electric has achieved. The first one is a CDP Climate Change A rating for the 10th consecutive year, and also the world's most sustainable company in Global 100 ranking by Corporate Knights. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very curious, so I'm going to ask Manish. Manish, could you please tell us about your company's journey in developing the sustainability aspect to become the company's culture and even core business focus today? What is your ultimate goal?
Thank you so much, Stella. Great to be here. Thanks for the nice words, and very pleased to share with the audience what we've been doing. I think just to start the conversation, it's good to set the stage for the challenge that we are all collectively facing, which is to limit the temperature rise to 1.5 degrees. And for this, challenge that we have is, on one side, we need to divide by 2 the carbon emissions in this decade so that we can achieve net zero carbon by 2050. And at the same time, we have a part of the world which has the challenge of not having access to energy at the same time. So that's the paradox that collectively we are facing and trying to handle. We have seen the temperature rise in the past months, weeks, years, and we have seen that exception has become the norm. So the highest temperature in the past was a norm today, or is a norm today, which leads to climate disasters like floods, typhoons, which we have seen in South Asia. So for us at Schneider Electric, we started this journey 15 years ago when we were probably in a lonely space, and we were one of the few companies to work on it. Today, it is a mainstream priority and something that we all need to be engaged in as individuals, companies, and governments. So for us, we are one of the most global companies, and our proximity, I would say we are the most local of the global companies, and our proximity enables us to better understand, anticipate, and adapt our support for business transformation in everything that we do. We have pioneered what we call as a multi-hub concept, that as an international company, we want to be close to the markets to bring the best of both global and local. And we are very strong in this particular region, in the Southeast Asia region, with factories, innovation centers, and our several offices. So for us, sustainability in Schneider Electric goes a long way back, and it will continue to be at the core of everything that we do. As you can see, at Schneider, we have not lost sight of our purpose, and our purpose is very simple. It is to empower all to make the most of our energy and resources. Today, we believe that technology allows us to bridge the progress and sustainability for all, and at Schneider, this is what we call life is on. At Schneider Electric, we have a very strong legacy in sustainability. In 2005, we actually started where we were one of the first companies to monitor the impact on our people, planet, and profit with an industry-leading, at that time, we call it the Sustainability Barometer. And since then, sustainability is all pervasive and is part of our governance, incentivization of our people, and also part of the DNA of the company. And you can see here in the slide the different things that we have been doing as part of how we have been working on this journey and making sustainability really at the core of everything that we do in Schneider Electric. Translating it into, in the last 15 years, we've saved almost 120 million tons of carbon dioxide emissions and given about 30 million people access to energy. Now, this recognition, things that we have been doing has been recognized, and thanks, you mentioned it just before in your opening comments, and we are very, very privileged with the different accolades that we've got from all across. What is even more pleased to share, and I would say privileged and proud to share, is that we have been nominated as the #1 most sustainable corporation according to Corporate Knights in the January 2021 rankings. Now we fully understand that, it's a responsibility that this recognition brings us, and we are committed to making this world a better place, working together in the larger ecosystem. So going forward, so this was a legacy, and therefore now what are we trying to do? So here we have the 6 commitments that we have taken for ourselves going forward, which are very aligned with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations. And here we have specific targets around each of these 6 goals that we have, which we are going to work on and achieve. And, we are going to share that a little bit later in the program with the audience. Sustainability, as our Chief Sustainability Officer says, is a marathon without a finish line. So we need to keep going and keep improving. And the faster we go, it's still not enough. So for us, in line with this, the 6 goals that we have, which is acting for a climate positive world, which is around continuously investing and developing innovative solutions that can deliver immediate and lasting decarbonization in line with the carbon pledge that Schneider has taken. It's about being efficient with resources by behaving responsibly, making most of the digital technology to preserve our planet, by living up to the principles of trust, by upholding ourselves to the high social and governance and ethical standards. I think this is also very, very key as we talk about sustainability. Giving equal opportunities to our employees that are all uniquely valued and work in a very inclusive environment to develop and contribute to the best. Harnessing the power of all generations by fostering learning, upskilling, and developing each generation, paving way for the next. Empowering local communities by promoting local initiatives and enabling individuals and partners to make sustainability a reality. So in Indonesia, for example, a little bit later, Roberto is going to share what are the initiatives that we have taken in Indonesia as part of these goals. Not to mention, we also do all of the rest, translated into the local context. Now, we finally, if I can say that, we continue to work on our access to energy program with the initiatives that we started. And here again, we have today provided 30 million people access to energy, and we want to take it forward by 2030 to 100 million people. We have been training underprivileged people so that they can get gainful employment, and we have supported after this training about 2,800 entrepreneurs, and a large part of them also in Indonesia. Very, very pleased to share that as well. So I know this was a pretty long answer to the question that you asked, Stella, but I think it is important that we set the context and share, some of the things that we have been doing in the past. And I hope that we are able to inspire the audience so that, we are able to work on this sustainability journey all together.
Thank you very much, Manish, for sharing. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have heard that Schneider Electric's journey to sustainability actually started even 15 years ago. So it is only natural that Schneider has a strong legacy in sustainability. And now Schneider has 6 long-term commitments, which are consistent with the United Nations SDG, which are, as we could see from Manish screen share before. Those are climate, resources, trust, equal generations, and local aspects. Thank you very much for sharing, Manish. Now, speaking about local aspects, and also Manish have mentioned before that there are initiatives that are catered for the local market, and specifically in this context, we're talking about Indonesia. So I will head to the cluster president at Schneider Electric for Indonesia and Timor-Leste, Roberto. Now, Roberto, could you share with us what the sustainability initiatives that Schneider Electric has taken in Indonesia, and how have they impacted Schneider Electric's business?
Yes, thank you for the question. First of all, I would like to rebound on the comments of Manish about we are the most local among the global companies, by saying that all what Manish has explained is 100% applicable in Indonesia. For sure, we have local commitments because we have local challenges, right? But all in all, the approach is the same. Sustainability is at the core of everything we do. And we focus on sustainability effort in internal and external, right? Internal is mainly related to how we operate our business to achieve our growth ambition while meeting our sustainable goal. Externally is mainly how we create the right ecosystem, encouraging partners, suppliers, customers to follow our sustainability journey. Let's start by the internal part in Indonesia. We have started the digital transformation journey back in 2017 in our factories in Cikarang and Batam, right? So there we have put in place several actions to achieve one important recognition for World Economic Forum, which is as a lighthouse of the 4th Industrial Revolution. To achieve that, we implemented the constructor architecture, our own solution to improve productivity and efficiency, enabling us growth without sacrificing sustainability goals. Is our IoT-enabled plug-in, open, interoperable architecture and platform that provide us with real-time data to better understand our energy consumption and demand, integrate clean energy, and optimize asset management. In other domains, in Batam factory, we have several actions for circular economy, mainly in reusing and reducing the raw material, focusing on buy less and waste less. The factory has successfully reduced by 40% our scrap cost and increased our productivity and efficiency by 20%. We can also highlight the reduction on reuse of carton and plastic. And in Cikarang, our other factory, one factory is for product, the other factory is for equipment. We implemented rooftop solar panels in 2020 that has produced more than 220 megawatts, covering 21% of the factory total consumption, reducing our carbon footprint by more than 160 tons of CO2 and introducing savings in our operational cost. The factory has also, as well as Batam, other initiatives, including efficiency in lighting, in cooling, reduction in the pallet materials, packaging, and education program for our employees in terms of sustainability and ecosystem. Something that is in between internal and external is our investment in Surya Daya, Indonesia. Fighting against climate change means that we must continuously transform the way in which we operate, we think, and we innovate. The utilization of clean energy resources is one of the solutions that we should take to address the carbon emission reduction. I am proud to say that through Schneider Electric Energy Access Asia, Schneider Electric, together with New Energy Nexus Indonesia and Crevis Partners, invested in Surya Daya Indonesia, which is a solar energy Indonesian startup. The investment is aiming to grow Surya business, which is an end-to-end solar energy solution provider in Indonesia. This is part of our initiative on promoting clean energy in our country. Finally, externally, right? Externally is mainly focused on how to build the right skill toward the Industry 4.0 and clean energy. Since 2018, Schneider Electric has become a partner of Ministry of Education and Industry in accelerating the implementation of the 4th Industrial Revolution, as well as in developing competencies and skills in our community to support the industrial digital transformation and the new energy landscape development. Our factory in Batam has been appointed as the first national lighthouse for Indonesia, where the industry players can learn and see firsthand the implementation of factory digitization through ecosystem architecture. With the Ministry of Industry, we have trained more than 12,000 professionals until now, and in Batam, we have received more than 2,000 visitors. We also collaborate with the Ministry of Education and Culture to build a center of excellence by providing curriculum development and laboratory equipment to skill up fresh graduates in Industry 4.0 requirements. We targeted more than 11,000 students till 2023, and we are on track with the plan. The trainings are focused mainly in energy management, building and industrial digitization, and clean energy. We also have professional certification through our Schneider Electric University, which is open to everyone that wants to submit. And we collaborate with the universities using our Schneider Electric Go Green competition, supporting young talent development to innovate, to push the boundaries of digital transformation in energy management. Finally, we have a Schneider Electric graduate program, which promotes young engineers career development, giving them the possibility to incorporate to the company, and we receive them, and we receive the privilege to be a more diverse and inclusive company. That's all in all the summary, right? 3 major topics: external, in the middle, and internal. I think that this is our major focus. We have plenty of more, but these are the highlights.
Yeah, thank you, Roberto. That was amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, Schneider Electric has implemented sustainability in multiple aspects, which include its internal operations, investment, and also in capacity building. And I would like to highlight what Roberto just mentioned. The smart factory in Batam is actually recognized by the World Economic Forum as a lighthouse of the 4th Industrial Revolution. So it is not only pride for Schneider Electric, but also for Indonesia. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would want to ask Manish a question, but first I want to share that as an economist, it's always been my interest to measure impact for impact evaluation. But as an economist, I only know how to measure impact on the economy. So I wonder, Manish, how does Schneider Electric measure the extent to which the investment value of the initiatives, the multiple initiatives that Roberto has mentioned, impacts on the company's performance and profitability? I've always been curious about that. Go ahead, Manish.
No, it's thanks, Stella. That's a great question, and one thing, of course, is very clear today that sustainability is more than a corporate responsibility. I mean, it is an opportunity or even a business need, if I may say. The companies, I mean, and you can see here that companies that are on it are outperforming competition. They're attracting investments. We've seen a lot of funds which are coming in the area of sustainability, which is a reflection of the fact that it is going to get the returns, and also it is driving a lot of innovation. So for example, in Schneider, as part of removal of the greenhouse gases, we have developed a solution without SF6 gas, which is a key component in our medium voltage switchgear. A large part of it that is actually used in Indonesia, and we are going to come to PLN, the utility in Indonesia, to put forward how we are able to replace all the SF6 switchgear with a non-SF6 switchgear, which is again something that as part of the sustainability journey we are able to get. Now, for us, what we also see is that so while these are the benefits that are coming as a consequence of the focus on sustainability with some long-term impacts, but at the same time, if you look at how we are driving our sustainability, so we have what we call as the Schneider Sustainability Impact Index, which is a scorecard that is demonstrating the rapid and disruptive changes that we have in this complex and diverse areas. So here we are measuring our impact across, the 6 long-term goals that we talked about. We keep on updating this, right? And here we have been publishing it quarterly, and we uphold our commitments to SDGs and demonstrate the industry leadership as part of a corporate social responsibility. So we are instilling a culture that encourages sustainability through performance incentives also for employees and leadership. So as I mentioned before, that every employee in Schneider has the incentive which is linked to how Schneider performs across this SSI index. So we have seen that our business model has been delivering very consistent, sustainable, and strong financial performance with good shareholder returns, and demonstrating that sustainability is also good for business. And actually in Schneider, we strongly believe that it is sustainability that is our business. So here you have the results for Q2 2021, which is reflected here. We at the end of H1 we have delivered record financial performance in revenues, profits, and cash flow, resulting from increased interest of our customers in all the sustainability solutions, especially based on digitization and low carbon electrification. The efficiencies that our solutions are bringing, together with established ways of that have been established in the past 18 months. Very pleased to share that our H1 results actually exceeded the pre-pandemic level. So it clearly shows that the sustainability impact is gaining traction with our customers, suppliers, and employees as well. So as you rightly said, that there is an impact which is very positive. Some part of it is quantitative, which is here, but also there is a lot of other qualitative benefits and long-term benefits that we will get with the investments that we make in sustainability.
Thank you very much, Manish, for sharing. Because yes, culturally, people still think that sustainability is sort of like a sacrifice for companies, but Schneider Electric here proves otherwise, because it actually helps Schneider to outperform the competitors, attracts investment, and also drive innovation forward. Now, Manish, while we're still in this topic, I would like to know, how does Schneider Electric as a global company make an effective sustainability policy that is in accordance with the market situation of each country where it operates? What do you think should be considered?
Now, again, great question, Stella, and we'll try to address that. So what we clearly see is that, first, our strategy has been to be as local as possible. Okay, and for that simple reason, we do a lot of business with local partners and to understand the local system, because that's where we operate in. Some examples have been given before by Roberto in terms of what we've been doing specifically in Indonesia. Now, having said that, as we talk about sustainability and accelerating sustainability, rather, we look at leading by example in our own ecosystem. So we want to make sure that we are using the solutions and challenging ourselves with our own targets, and then also bringing those solutions towards our customers. All right, and to ensure this consistency across geographies, we have a common set of values in Schneider, which goes globally in the way we work anywhere in the world, which are about customer first, dare to disrupt, embrace different, learn every day, and act like owners. Now, if we look at how at Schneider we have been delivering the decarbonization outcomes, right? So we are bringing sustainability to our customers as part of our Schneider Energy and Sustainability Services, which have been launched in East Asia. So this ESS division is focused on helping clients in the region build more reliable, cost-effective, and sustainable strategies. For example, within our ESS, we have a renewable energy experts that can offer extensive experience, global reach, and transparent processes to help customers find the best renewable energy projects and clean tech products for the company that is considering the offsite power purchase agreements. So the way we approach this is as we share on this slide, is that how we are able to help our customers to deliver solutions around the ability to reduce the energy usage, to replace, with what I talked about by replacing, I would say, fossil fuel energy with, if we can just stay on the previous slide, with renewable energy. It's about balance so that we are able to provide offsets and further to engage, because the whole process needs to be around an ecosystem and not just engaged with that particular customer. It's about the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. That means you're taking care of the customer as well as the suppliers and the customers, both on the upstream and downstream. Now, we also have our local commitments that we make as in the countries that we operate in as part of our corporate social responsibility. And you will see right here, what we have called out. So for example, I have targets that I've set for myself. And similarly, we have targets which have been set by Roberto in Indonesia that we are going to work on. So globally, we have about 200 local commitments that we are all working on to see how we can make a meaningful impact to the communities that we operate in. So yeah, that's something that sees how we tailor everything that we do globally in the local context that we operate in, both for ourselves, our customers, and for the larger ecosystem that we work in.
Thank you very much for sharing, Manish. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is how Schneider Electric becomes the most local of global companies. Now, I would help to Robert to ask more about the Indonesian market, because we just heard from Manish from the zone level aspect. Now, Roberto, what is Indonesia's current state of ESG? And as the government has now aimed to downstream industries and make them more sustainable, what should be the key steps and priorities that should be taken by businesses?
Thank you for the question. So first of all, to framework the topic, when we are talking about the acceleration of ESG initiative, there are two crucial factors, right? The first one is to have a supportive and effective regulation that can encourage and mandate investors and companies to incorporate ESG into their decisions, operation, and activities. The second is the business consciousness, right? And commitment to be more resilient and to be able to adapt and respond appropriately to the changes on the customer expectations. Although it's still at early stage, Indonesia has shown significant progress in approaching its long-term commitments. As stated by President Joko Widodo in his speech at the 76th General Assembly of United Nations, the country has achieved an impressive reduction of 82% in forest fire versus in 2020 versus 2019, and impressive reduction also in the rate of deforestation, which is the lowest all across the last 20 years. The country has also taken commitment in carbon footprint reduction as well as clean energy usage. So all in all, still preliminary, but in the good direction. In terms of carbon incentives plan and other actions, we are also going on the right direction. I think that all these topics like incentive, more renewables resources, as well as electrical vehicles will drive an impressive future for the country. But for sure, we will need more regulation ahead. In terms of business responsibility, in my interaction with Indonesian leaders, I can feel that in most of the cases, it is clear that business cannot grow sustainably if we do not impact positively in the community where we operate. Our generation has the unique opportunity to reconcile the paradox between progress for all and a sustainable future for the planet. I see consumer, investor, and governments are all considering sustainability actions at the core of the strategy. So now about the key step or priorities, right, that companies should be take ahead to make it happen. I think that the key pillar is to understand the ESG is a systemic approach, right, embedded in all layers of the company, from business to partnership, from culture to governance, to assess every single decision, progress, and difficulty. This system allows the company to provide the right support to ensure meaningful action ahead. In terms of implementations, the first step is to understand and articulate the benefit of taking action and the risk of not taking action, right? It's take it or leave it. This is like a runner taking the decision to run a race. It takes purpose and aspiration from the outset, not at the end. Second, an organization must set clear goals ahead and commitment for the change. This must be both realistically achievable and ambitious enough to be meaningful, and they cannot be one-off. We must upgrade them, as it was stated by Manish. We did that during the last 15 years, again and again. And the concept is similar to a runner, right? You gradually improve your fitness by over the time by exercising ourselves. So finally, I think that as a company, Schneider has been one pioneer to fight against the climate change for over than 15 years. We are in a strategic position to be a proven digital partner for sustainability and efficiency to help our customer partners and suppliers in achieving their goals. So we are here to help, right? We are here to listen them, to understand to where they want to go. We have plenty of solution and expert to help them in all senses to achieve their goals that they can see more and more in every single leader in Indonesia is at the core of the strategy.
Thank you very much, Roberto. So, ladies and gentlemen, we start by making commitment and setting clear goals and commitment. And here, Schneider Electric's mission is to be the digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. Now, Manish, could you tell us what this means, being digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, and how do you see your role in that?
Sure. Thanks, Stella. I think if we just take a step back to why we say being digital partner for sustainability and efficiency. If you look at it today, we have to make the world more and more electric, right? Our energy usage, our current energy system is heavily carbonized, with almost 80% of it coming from fossil fuels. This is representing almost 80% of the carbon dioxide emissions, and the fossil fuel reserves are not equally distributed across the globe. And therefore it's massively inefficient when 60% of the fossil fuels that are extracted are actually wasted. So this is continuing to create our major imbalances and risk to our planet. So, the way we have to do is to move the usage of energy to being more and more electric, because electricity is an energy which can become green. And therefore we say that it's the most, electricity is the most efficient form of energy, and also is the best vector for decarbonization, because, it can move to being renewable. At the same time, digital, on the other hand, which is supported by electricity, because to be more digital, you need more electricity, is helping us to become smart, as it brings visibility to electricity to us. So once it becomes fully visible, so which means you are able to see how the energy is flowing across your full system. If you're in a factory, if you're in a building, and you can map the complete energy usage end to end. Once you're able to do that, you're able to drive efficiency and productivity. And this is exactly what Schneider is able to bring, which is to be the partner for the digital partner for sustainability, because the convergence of electric and digital is helping us drive that even more. So this is where I would say is how it kind of comes together. And what we say is that the company's ability to respond to these changing market dynamics is directly related to the ability to be more agile, more resilient, more efficient through this digital strategy. Our vision is to deliver the digital solutions and strategies for sustainability that consider resiliency, which is the ability to make sure that power is always on, to drive energy efficiency for saving, for profit efficiency, so that we can get the returns on what we are investing in sustainability, to your previous question as well, and therefore make more with what we have of our resources. So we also have what we call as EcoStruxure platform that our customers can use to push forward the sustainability and digital strategies. So it's a platform on which I would say, our sustainability solutions are built on. Now, what we will say is that it's a time for a new energy paradigm, where traditional fossil fuel based energy uses start to get electrified. We have the electric car, for example, coming in, which is going to replace the internal combustion engine. Similarly, we are moving to more heating in our homes. I mean, electric heating for cooking, electric heating and cooling, especially in tropical climates like in Indonesia. And this is where I would say that it is going to drive more usage of electricity, more digitization, and these Schneider solutions, which are helping and leading in this all electric renewable based systems, will help us adapt to this revolution in changing energy landscape. And this change is what we call as Electricity 4.0. Okay, we are committed to raising this bar for our company, for our customers, our partners, and a community around us. Today, whether we are facing a crisis like we all faced, and hopefully we are out of it, or we are in more calmer or more stable environments, this pandemic has really taught us that we all need to work together, and we get even stronger when we work together. So that's what we are here to do, to be the digital partner for sustainability and efficiency, so that we can continue to drive our sustainability agenda together.
Thank you very much, Manish. That was very interesting. Usually in Indonesia, when people talk about digitalization, they usually think about how MSMEs can go on a digital platform to sell their products online. But digitalization can actually happen everywhere, including in the electricity sector. And digitalization and electrification supported by renewable energy sources, I agree, they are the key to accelerate the ways to fight against climate change. Now, Roberto, so I want to ask, what does Indonesia need to excel in these aspects to be able to meet its sustainability target in 2030?
Yes, thank you. I would like to rebound in some comment from Manish, right? What we are facing ahead is the convergence in between digital and electric at high scale, right? Driving innovations and efficiency. As stated by Manish, this is giving birth to what we call electricity 4.0. And it's a new world, a complete new world in which sustainability and resiliency is at the core everywhere, right? There is not any single place in the future where we can think about an electrical system from generation till consumption without digitization, right? Digitization would be at all scale in all levels, and this is the only way that we think we will establish the right foundations to build the future of the country, right? And to do that, we need to restart by rethinking our relationship with the energy, because as stated by Manish again, 80% of the carbon emission, worldwide speaking, is coming from this part, right? So in a race against time, electricity offers the fastest and most cost-effective way to decarbonize our societies. Electricity is by far the most efficient energy, proven to be 5 to 6 times more efficient than other sources, and also is the best vector for decarbonization. We expect to see 6 more times clean energy by 2040, jumping from 6% to 40% of the total generation in the country. In parallel, the conversion in between electricity and digital build a smart future, right? By making visible the invisible, driving efficiency and eliminating energy waste. More than 50% of energy produced is wasted. Efficiency is most of the time overlooked, despite being one of the fastest way to reduce consumption. Our customer partners and wider industry look for ways to decarbonize, and Electricity 4.0 delivers measurable and sustainable outcomes with technologies that already exist today. I think that with all this, our company role is to educate people about it, to collectively accelerate the journey to net zero together with partners and customers to make a better future for everyone.
Thank you very much, Roberto. That was wonderful. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have discussed about the environment aspect of ESG. Now, I would like to move to the social aspect of ESG. Now, I would like to ask Manish first. Is there anything related to corporate culture or to communities and public that Indonesian companies need to resolve to embrace sustainability? You're still on mute, Manish?
Sorry, yeah. So yeah, it's a very good question that you have, and I would say that you know, the whole aspect is to build a much more inclusive world, right? And that's what we need to be doing. So before the pandemic, the Asian companies had generally been very slow to embrace ESG. This pandemic has now encouraged countries and as well as businesses to take meaningful actions as drivers of change. And you know, this is really a good example of what we are trying to do here. Now, having said that, I would say that you know, the ESG is therefore no more a nice to do, but it's a key concern and expectation of many companies and stakeholders, and could also be very soon a regulatory obligation. I would say that in the true spirit of going beyond the scope, most importantly, in alignment with the core values, we have also taken the commitment with regards to our supply chain to ensure that 100% of our suppliers respect decent work standards, right? The balance of sustainability, progress, and living up to our trust standards is clearly non-negotiable, and it's another way of tackling the energy paradox. So climate action is only going to happen when we touch the whole ecosystem, and it touches all stakeholders.
Thank you very much, Manish. Roberto, do you have anything to add on that?
I think that is, I fully agree, right? there is not question mark about it. I think that is an imperative of the business. We just need to set up the meaningful goals ahead and to go for it. They should be achievable for sure, but there should be challenges. And, you know, sometimes we even do not realize that we are talking about basic human rights, like equality, trust, a decent work. So, you know, sometimes it's even crazy that we need to highlight this again and again, right? But nevertheless, we will do it. But I think that is a must, as explained by Manish.
Thank you very much, Roberto. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we have been having interesting discussion here, and we already have so many questions posted here in the Q&A box. So we're going to start taking before we start taking the questions, I would like to first ask Roberto, because the topic of sustainability is very interesting and we want to have more of this kind of discussions later on. So does Schneider Electric have platform to share more on action solutions and sustainability topics?
Yes, thank you. So I can provide a lot of example, right, about customer successful solution, right? One of them is in one hospital, Mayapada Hospital, where we have been appointed by them to help them to increase reliability, resiliency, as well as efficiency through energy management, right? So through our EcoStructure building for healthcare solution, we have delivered the expected goals in cost optimization, service continuity, real-time monitoring, and asset management. With all this, Mayapada Hospital is able now to give a better experience to its customer with a lower operational cost. All in all, a very nice story in which we reduce the carbon footprint, we increase the efficiency of the operation, the visibility about the asset. So now the management of the hospital has full control about what is happening, and more important, they can predict what could happen in the future, and they can have in advance already secure actions to avoid any problem and to give peace of mind to all the patients on the hospital. The second case is about Lintasarta, right? Schneider Electric became a trusted advisor of Lintasarta, Technopark data center, which is an state-of-art tier 3 colocation data center that support digital transformation of customer across the industry in Indonesia, including finance, telecommunication, and oil and gas. Through the implementation of Schneider Electric integrated EcoStructure solution, Lintasarta is able now to achieve a service level agreement of 99.98% for his customers, and also to guarantee a 24/7 availability of critical power and cooling. Again, very nice solution, fully aligned with the customer expectation and the goals.
Thank you very much, Roberto.
Maybe, Stella, sorry to interject. I think one of the things that that we can also mention for customers based on your question, where we can share more is what we see on the screen. We have what we call as our innovation summits, where we go into detail of our technical solutions, that we bring to our customers, how they can actually use it and participate together with us, with our experts, industry-leading experts. We have this solution kickoff on October 12th globally, and Roberto will kick it off in Indonesia on 3rd and 4th of November. So, really invite the audience, and please feel free to invite your other colleagues and friends to join. I think we'll go deeper into different topics, and you can choose the topics that you want to join as well.
Thank you, Manish, for sharing with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Innovation Summit Indonesia will be held on November 3rd and 4th. But before that, there will be a global kickoff event on October 12th. So make sure you register for the events, and the link is as shown on your screen. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the question and answer, Manish, perhaps you want to deliver some closing statement?
Oh, look here. I think first, really great to be here to be able to exchange, with the audience. Sustainability is a topic which is really a marathon without a finish line, as I mentioned before, and it's an area where we all have to work together. It's not a one company initiative. It's our initiative. All of us need to be part of it and need to be committed to it and do our part. As individuals, as part of companies, as suppliers, as customers, as right corporate citizens, we need to be doing that. And clearly, Schneider Electric is your partner in making this happen, and we are here to share with you more and bring our solutions so that we can really make this a better place and a better world.
Wonderfully said, Manish. Thank you very much. Now we're going to enter the Q&A session. The first question is from Vijay Fulwani, and the question is, it is addressed to Manish. Because of ESG and sustainability issue, now world population has to pay higher commodity price. Lots of people are suffering due to the high cost of energy. So what is your view about this? Thank you in advance. Manish, go ahead.
Well, I think that, first, it's a great question. I would say that what we are seeing today, of course, we have the prices going up and down. We have inflation, and that follows a cycle. But to me, it is a further proof that, we really need to do more with less. The inflation should drive us to even more productivity. The inflation should drive us to how more we can even drive more efficiency in what we do. And therefore, I would say that, what we are seeing today should drive us more closer to sustainability, because this is the end goal of sustainability, right? And not just that, it should also drive us for more innovation, because that's how we will develop solutions that will bring this efficiency, that will bring these productivity and maybe better comfort, better resilience, better values for the things that we use in those different applications. So yes, it's something that we have to work towards, and we will collectively overcome it.
Thank you, Manish. That was an excellent answer. Now I would there's a question from Divya K and Adam John. I would address this question to Roberto. What are the main challenges of implementing ESG strategies in Indonesia?
I think that the major challenge are linked to the previous question, right? Sometimes you need to make a fast movement, and sometimes you will go through tough momentums, right? This is for sure, right? Every single change, no gain, no pain, no gain, right? So the first topic, as I said back 30 minutes back, is we need to define our goals. Why? The whys first, and where we want to be second. By frameworking that, later, there are several ways to implement it. So what I recommend is first to define where they want to be and why. What is the competitive advantage, and what is the contribution toward the community that this company wants to do. Later, it comes the easy part, right? To find the right partner to make it happen. And there we can support them almost at all levels. For sure, it could be a first momentum where you are not able to digitize all our solution or all our operation, and for sure there will be a momentum in which maybe our cost is not the best one, right? But this will go, right? So if you continue toward there, you will see how your performance start to take off, while the revenue is increasing, and most important than the rest, for me at least, is you will see your impact toward the community and the recognition of all the stakeholders.
Yeah, and maybe if I can just compliment Roberto on this, is that, as he rightly said, that we need to have the belief in it, right? It is, sustainability is about long-term. Sustainability is about generations. And therefore, we need to keep that belief. We need to keep that trust that this is the way we will go, and we will overcome, whatever are the ups and downs that happen in our implementation.
Thank you very much, Manish. So basically, we need to go back to having a commitment to work for that goal. Thank you very much. Now, another question to Manish from Divya K. What are Schneider Electric's concrete strategies to achieve the net zero emissions goal moving forward? How will Schneider Electric measure the success of such endeavors, and what are the challenges?
So great question, and a big question, and I'll try to answer as much as we can. So we talked here about things that we actually believe in, and I would just say that for us at Schneider Electric, we have taken our scope 1 and 2, where we are saying by 2025 we want to be carbon neutral with offsets, and by 2030 we actually want to be net zero in our operations. So we are going to do it in 2030 in our scope, which is scope 1 and 2, or the operations of Schneider. But I think we are going beyond it. We are going to our suppliers, which is scope 3, and we want that by 2030, when our operations becomes net zero, we have a minus 35% between scope 1, 2, and scope 3. And going forward, we are committed by 2050, in line with the science-based targets, that we want to get to net zero in our supply chain, which means between our suppliers and operations. So we have actually kicked off a very big program, which is a zero carbon project, where we are bringing our top 1,000 suppliers, and we are going to work with them using the solutions of Schneider Electric to help them achieve net zero carbon. Okay, and I'm very pleased to share that amongst those 1,000 of suppliers that we have chosen, close to 100 of the suppliers are in Southeast Asia, and including in Indonesia. So this is the commitment that we have, and here we have concrete steps. I gave one example to it. I mean, we shared about the broader themes around the 6 long-term goals that we have taken in Schneider. So that's what we are working on and what we are working towards. And as I said before, we have the Schneider Sustainability Impact that we shared earlier, that we publish every quarter. So we are committed to it, and we really measure our performance and make sure that we are doing everything to reach the goals that we've set for ourselves. And again, it is very pervasive because it touches the incentivization of all the employees, right? And in Schneider Electric. So we are all for it. And therefore, I think to the point of ESG, that this carbon pledge, this decarbonization, this journey of sustainability is something which has to be all pervasive. It has to touch everything that we do, all our policies in our corporations, and that's what Schneider Electric is doing. And I think that's why it's leading and being recognized, but clearly it's something that we want every corporation to be doing.
That was amazing.
And if I can complement, what is making even Schneider different from the rest is that, as explained by Manish, we take a crystal clear long-term commitment for us, for our suppliers, and for our products. Is impressive commitment toward our customers, because when you see the impact of the carbon footprint is really relevant, the contribution that Schneider can make working with the customers. So all in all, first, we are cleaning our house, right? We are doing what we believe. We are applying our technologies, but
the last question addressed to Roberto from Roy Kusuma.
it is clear that we need to shift. The problem is not the question, the problem is how and when, right? So we as a community, we will do it, right? This is the first statement. The second one is, it is clear that we need to jump into clean energy, either solar, wind, etc. And to secure that, we need to implement what we call Electricity 4.0, which is the full connectivity of the full intelligence in our network, since generation going through transportation and distribution. We have plenty of solutions for microgrid to allow not only for the bigger plants in solar or wind farms, also we have solution for a large customer, like we have in our factory in Shikaran, where we have solar panels connected to the PLN grid, and we put intelligence on top of this to secure all in all to achieve all the goals. Later, if you talk about electrical vehicles, which is another game, is a big challenge for the power and grid company, right? Because we will see an impressive explosion of demand here and there that with the current network, is not possible to be managed. So we need to see an impressive digitization of the distribution network to secure that the company will be able to understand from where is coming the consumption and to manage it. Because you will have in the same place a peak of consumption and over generation. All of it is not possible to be managed by the same installation that we had 20 years back. We need to jump into a full digitization of the distribution network.
Thank you very much, Roberto. A very interesting session instead. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that was the last question for today. We would like to keep going, but yeah, due to time constraint, we need to end this session right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're still interested in the topic of ESG and sustainability, don't forget to register yourself for the Innovation Summit Indonesia on November 3rd and 4th, and also the global kickoff on October 12th. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to say thank you once again to our speakers for today, Manish and Roberto. A very interesting discussion instead, and of course, thank you to the audience who has submitted intriguing questions we all enjoy. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was the end of the 36th episode of the JAKPOS Up Close. We'll see you again in the next episode. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Roberto. Thank you, Manish. See you.
Sure.
Great
Bye.
discussion. Wonderful.
Bye.